Coordinate Algebra, Operations on Linear Functions. This is the orange lesson. What is a linear function? Well, let's look at 4. We have f of x equals 16x plus 10. G of x equals negative 4x minus 12. H of x equals negative 8x plus 20. K of x equals 6x plus 42. Now, why do I have f of x, g of x, h of x, and k of x? Look at them as names. We want to be able to talk about 4 different linear functions. So we give them a name: h of x, k of x, g of x, f of x. That's why we use the funny notation on the left-hand side. Dividing linear functions. Now what is that going to look like? We're going to have f of x divided by g of x. That looks like a fraction, doesn't it? Well, that's what we're going to have. 16x plus 10 in the numerator, and in the denominator we're going to have negative 4x minus 12. Now, this is a fraction, and we're going to treat this just like a fraction, just like if we wanted to reduce a fraction. We want to find the smallest number. Well, obviously, the smallest number is in the denominator. We have negative 4 and negative 12, but I really want the smallest absolute value. I don't care about the negatives. 4 is the smallest number we have. So what numbers go into 4? Well, 1, 2, and 4. Now we have to check to see if they go in the numerator and the denominator. I'm going to take the biggest number, which is 4. Well, let's start in the numerator. 4 does go into 16. Good. Does 4 go into 10 evenly? No, we're going to get a decimal. 4 won't work. Oh, darn. So let's move down to the next smallest number, 2. Does 2 go into 16? Yes. Does 2 go into 10? Yes. Of course, 2 is going to go into negative 4 in the denominator, and 2 does go into negative 12. So it looks like we're going to be dividing all the terms in the numerator and the denominator by 2. So what's this going to look like? Well, I'm going to start in the numerator. 16 divided by 2. You can put that in your calculator. You get 8, but it's going to be 8x, isn't it? Now, 10 divided by 2. Again, people, that can go in your calculator. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Now I'm going to go down to the denominator. Negative 4 divided by 2. And I'm going to get negative 2, but it's going to be negative 2x, isn't it? Finally, I'm going to divide negative 12 by 2, and I get negative 6. Now, I've done all this work in my calculator. What am I going to do now? Well, you're just going to take it and you're going to rewrite it. So you're going to have in the top, in the numerator, 8x plus 5. Okay? What are you going to have in the denominator? Negative 2x minus 6. Your turn dividing. Okay, let's get our worksheet again, and remember, you can pause the video anytime you need a little extra time. Okay, we're going to start out with hx divided by kx. What was h of x? Write it on the top. What is k of x? Did you write down 6x plus 42? You'd be right. Now, look at your paper. Look at all your terms. Which one is the smallest? Well, if you said -8, yeah, you're actually right. But I guess I want to say the smallest absolute value. Oh, then 6 would be it. What numbers divide into 6 evenly? Did you say 2 and 3? Well, use 2 and 3 and check out and see which one of them can divide not only into 6 but into 42. Then check your -8 and your 20. Which one are you going to use? Okay, it's now your turn to divide that number into every single one of your terms. You might want to stop the video while you do this. Now that you have divided that number into each one of your terms and you've shown your work on your worksheet, write your new fraction down. Your turn number 2. Okay, what are we going to divide this time? G of x divided by k of x. Let's go back up to the top and find what g of x is and what k of x is. Write your g of x on the top and your k of x on the bottom. Now again, we want to look for the smallest absolute value. Which term is the smallest absolute value? Did you pick 4? Good. What are the numbers that divide into 4 evenly? Now we want to go ahead and we want to divide that number into every single one of the terms. Again, you may want to stop your video while you do this. What you get, write it down. Your turn, number 3, dividing. Let's see what we have this time. We have h of x divided by g of x. Go to the top of paper, find h of x, put it in the numerator. G of x goes in the denominator. Okay, let's look at this. Where is your smallest term? Oh, I really want to say your smallest absolute value term. Is it in the numerator or the denominator? Did you pick 4? What are your factors of 4? Remember they're 1, 2, and 4. What did we do in the example? Remember we started with 4. We checked to see if it would go into every single term. If that doesn't work, then you have to go to 2. So try it out, see what happens, show your work on your worksheet, pick up your calculator, do your work, and then write down your final answer, your simplified fraction. What have you learned to do in this video? Well, we now know that f of x over g of x is a division problem, and we are dividing a function. But we also know that it's a lot like reducing a fraction. Just like when we reduce a fraction, we have to find a number that goes in the numerator and the denominator. Here we have to find a number that divides evenly into every single term in this division problem. So we now know how to divide two functions. You did a great job. It's time to turn your paper into your teacher.